Today, I'm going to be showing you some of the most useless vehicles to exist in Mad City Chapter 2. As you know, there are a lot of vehicles in the game, so I'll be showing you which ones you shouldn't bother saving up for and why. Also, make sure to stick around towards the end of the video because I have some cool news for you. Anyways, enjoy the video. So the first useless vehicle that I'm going to be talking about today is the Pipeline. Yes, I said it's useless. So if you're wondering why I'm saying this, just let me explain. So you actually can't purchase the Pipeline. It came to Mad City in the Chapter 2 update, and the only way to obtain it is by coming to the casino, spinning this prize wheel here, and if you're lucky enough, you'll land on the Pipeline and get it for free. But this vehicle isn't really that good anyways. You'll see if I get into it and start driving here, you can see that it isn't really that fast. Even if I boost it like this, it's not really getting me anywhere. For something that you literally have a 1% chance of getting, this car generally just isn't really good for anything. Maybe if you just want to flex on your friends that you spun a prize wheel and got lucky, then sure. But aside from that, there really isn't anything special about this. I feel like they should just replace this car with something better. Just a nice looking car that works decently. So the next on the list is the Plane. This vehicle was introduced back in Chapter 1 and only cost $50,000. It was always a slow vehicle, with the only real selling point being that it could fly for cheap. But then, in an update, the price of the plane was bumped up by 5 times its original price to $250,000. Then, in Chapter 2, the price went up by an extra $100,000, putting it at $350,000. Keep in mind, this is the slowest air vehicle and the second slowest vehicle in the entire game, only beating the Rhino in speed. So $350,000 really isn't a good deal for what you're getting.
What a piece of junk!
If you really want a flying vehicle, just save up for something like the Warhawk or the A-10, or even just use the free helicopter. Trust me, these are all way better options than getting the plane. Don't buy this vehicle. Anyways, that brings us to today's third useless vehicle, which is the Knight Rider. This vehicle will set you back a massive $4.5 million. So given that price, you'd think this vehicle is good, right? Well, not really. This car is insanely slow for a $4.5 million vehicle, and it looks like the Batmobile went through a midlife crisis. But you'll be pleased to know that this has the redeeming feature of a single turret mounted on top of its massive bonnet. This can be used to, well, shoot people. Generally, it isn't very easy to hit a moving target with the turret because it just moves so damn slowly. And in the rare case that you do hit a shot, it only deals 8 damage to players. Keep in mind, this turret has a fire rate similar to a gun like the AK-47, except this deals less damage and it's more difficult to hit shots with. So that brings up the question of why not just use the AK-47 if this is so difficult to use? And that's exactly why this car's useless. You'll get a lot more value of just buying a regular car and sticking a gun out the window. I've been saying for a long time now that players would just be so much more inclined to buy this thing if they just gave it missiles instead. That way I'd at least feel like slightly less of a loser using this thing. They don't have to be overpowered or anything, just being the same level as something like the Hyperglider's missiles would make this seem so much more awesome. But until that day comes, this feels like a pretty awful deal. Anyway, moving on, the next vehicle on the list here is the Shelby. This is one of those cars that you don't even realize exist until you hear someone degrading it on the internet for everyone to see. Hey mum. This car doesn't get talked about a lot because it's just so damn generic. It's hidden in the darkest corner of the city dealership, has a basic model, and seriously lacks in speed. Pretty sure I saw a butterfly pass me while I was driving this. It's a pretty cheap car, only at about $70,000, but when you compare it to something like the Camaro, which is free, you'll understand why it's so rarely used. This is really one of those cars that attract players that are new to the game and just want a car that isn't the default. But seriously, if you want a better car than the Camaro, don't go for anything under $500,000 or you're gonna be disappointed. So the last vehicle we're gonna be talking about in this video is the SWAT van. So in case you didn't know, you actually can't purchase this with in-game cash. If you want to buy the SWAT van, then you'll actually have to purchase it with the SWAT Game Pass using Robux. There were 2 things that made this vehicle unique. One of them being that it could fit up to 6 people, more than any other vehicle in the game. So you're essentially paying for a slow 6-seater van. It just isn't an appealing reason to purchase the SWAT Game Pass. That was some of the most useless vehicles in Mad City Chapter 2. But real quick, I've got something else to show you just before the video ends. So I admit I'm a bit late to announce this by a few weeks, but I've been accepted into the official Mad City Creator Program. So you may have seen this already if you're in the Mad City Discord server, but overall this shouldn't really affect the content I make. It just means I get a couple benefits like accessing blog posts early. So you might have seen an update actually came out for Mad City earlier today. Now I did have access to the blog post for that before it was published, but I was kind of asleep like this. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. It took way too long to make, so leaving a like or subscribing would actually be really helpful. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.